In this video, I'm going to go over making basic shapes in processing. Now, what I already have is a sketch open, and I've copied in the code from the assignment that gives me the grid so that when I run the sketch like this, you'll see that I have gridded out 100 pixels in each direction. Going to the right is the x value, and going down is the y value. So when I go in with this code, I want to look for the brackets that say your code goes below this line and above this line. So I'm just going to go in here, and then I can draw basic shapes. So I'm going to start with a rectangle. The function for rectangle is rect. And then there is a parentheses and some numbers, and then you will close the parentheses and put in a semicolon. Now, when I have incomplete functions, you can see a kind of warning bar down here that says the function rect expects parameters like rect float, 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 and those floats are all going to be numbers. What they're going to be is where the rectangle starts on the x-axis, where it starts on the y-axis, and then its width, and then its height. And so you have to put in specific numbers for these. So I will go ahead and just say I want to start the rectangle at 100 on the x-axis and 200 on the y-axis, and then I will make the width 100. Actually, I'll make it 75, and I'll make the height 50. So that's going to give me a rectangle, so that then when I run this, we see that I have a rectangle that starts at 100 on the x-axis, 200 on the y-axis, so this is its starting point in the upper left-hand corner, and it goes over 75 and down 50. And since we haven't given it any color attributes or anything like that, it's just going to be a white rectangle with a black border. So another basic shape is an ellipse, and an ellipse is written out ellipse the full word, and I always like to do these right. I like to open and close the parentheses and put the semicolon first, just so I don't forget something. And then I can come back in, and it turns out that ellipse is also looking for four parameters, and they are actually the same. It's looking for a starting point on the x-axis, a starting point on the y-axis, and then a width and a height. And so I just gave it all the same numbers as the rectangle, but it's going to appear in a slightly different location, because while the rectangle starts in the upper left corner of the rectangle, the ellipse starts at 100, 200, but it starts in the center of the ellipse. So if I wanted to center this over the rectangle, I would have to do a little bit of math. And a little bit of math would be I'd have to take half of the ellipse, because half the length there, and then if I start half and get it into the center, then it will be directly over top of the rectangle. And so 75 is a hard number to split in half, but it is 37.5. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in 137 on the x-axis, so it'll be at least closer over top, and see it's pretty close now over top of the rectangle. So you do have to do a little bit of back and forth to try to figure out exactly how shapes should align. Now, there are other shapes that you might use. You might use line, quad, and triangle. And all of these shapes are a little bit different because you have to define all of their vertex points. So with a line, you see a line expects 4 points, and those 4 points are 100, 200, and then I'm going to say 175 and 250. And what these 2 points are, it's saying this is a single point and this is another single point, and we're going to draw a line between them. And I'll go ahead and I'll just get rid of the other two shapes for a second. So then we see we have a line going from one corner to the other corner. So it's going from one point to the other. And quads and triangles are similar. So quad, we need to do a lot of points because we need to have 4 corners. So this is if you wanted to do anything that's not explicitly a rectangle, maybe like a parallelogram or something. You could write in 4 numbers there, and then triangle has 3 vertex points, so it needs 3 sets of numbers. And so those are our basic shapes. And I'm going to go into a way to do a more complex shape in the next video.